pit stop. It's a pit stop. Pit stop. It's a pit stop. Pit stop. It's a pit stop.
And we are back with your Purple Pants Podcast Pitstop coverage of Amazing Race, Season 37, Episode 7. I have the honor and the disdained privilege to be joined by my co-host, the winner of Amazing Race, Season 29, Miss Brooke Camhi.
I'm hoping that's distinct privilege.
What did I say?
Disdain?
Disdain? So if it's a disdained privilege, that's not a good thing?
Well, I mean, disdain is not a good thing, so I'm going to assume that I don't ever heard of disdained. Hi, welcome to the Purple Pants Podcast.
Well, no, wait, let's get into this because we should clear up some definitions before we start.
Well, to have disdain for something is to have
so distinct privilege.
Yes.
Brooke Camhi. But since we are on the Brooke Camhi's Webster Dictionary, what is the definition of a fill elimination?
Elimination.
Elimination.
Yes, he says it right. He says it with me. This, sir, thank God we don't have to argue about this. Yes, this was a elimination. So as badly as I feel for the team that went home, they are on the very short list of people who've had the distinct honor of being eliminated by Phil on the course.
Crazy.
Covered in hay.
Okay, covered in hay. And I've been saying this all season, and we are 7 episodes in, and I'm going to start this episode like how I start all the episodes. First of all, very sad.
Drinking? Taking a sip of your drink? No?
Okay, I'll take a sip too. Sorry. Listen, I just got back from Atlanta. I had no time from the airport to now, but I did leave with all of my bags. This season of Amazing Race is
so good.
The creme to the lacroix.
Perfection. Next question.
It is so good. It is so similar to our Amazing Race rewatch of Season 5.
Yes,
and it's so good. We got a full elimination. And how crazy is it for us to have started this season with some of the rewatches of Season 5, doing a little video of what a elimination is, Phil retweeting it, and we actually get a elimination in this season. This is like, I really feel like the Amazing Race gods are shining down on
They're doing it for us. Right. Yes. I think that's hilarious.
Crazy. This episode.
That being said, I'm kind of pissed off and I hate who went home. No, I love who went home. I hate that they went home. I want to be clear.
Okay. I am very sad at who went home. However, and I say this with love, how they went home, I almost feel like there was a little justice for Pops moment in there because of how they went home and who kind of whatever. But listen, let's get into this episode because there is so much to get into.
Including the challenge that would have been for Jeff and Pops. If you hang around long enough, I always say it, there will be a challenge for you. Jeff and Pops left 1 week too early because this was the challenge for them. Okay. So first, we say our moment of silence for Jeff and Pops. You are missed. Let's
come on, Jeff.
We're going to have to start saying that about other people now because we don't have Jeff to say it about.
Come on.
We'll be like, come on, Nick. Oh, okay. That's pretty funny. Okay, so this episode, we have a self-drive. We have a double U-turn. We have a stray dog to add to the sanctuary outside my door of my apartment. Don't roll your eyes. You want to come pet the animals. Okay, so teams are flying 2,000 miles plus, whatever, to Sofia, Bulgaria, where apparently yogurt came from. I love this. This is very cool. I love when Phil does like little facts because who knew where yogurt came from? But now I know and I'll never forget.
And also, it's like maybe I need to start eating yogurt because if you eat yogurt from goats, you live to be 102. And as fly as our Nona was this episode, I definitely Instacarted some Greek yogurt, but
it's not Greek.
Oh, well. They didn't have Bulgarian yogurt.
Oh, no, Greek will do it for you. I should call my Nana. She will be 98 in a few months, and I am curious to see if she eats yogurt on the daily, because I got to tell you, that lady is with it and sharp. You met her.
Yes, I did at the wedding. Yes. Oh, she was another one at the wedding.
Up and dancing at 97.
Up and dancing and
6.
She said, "Come here." I said, "Hi." She said, "I know you from Brooke." I
Yeah.
said, "Oh my God." But nothing
I have a
beats
great picture of you
Dale.
and Nana. Oh, well.
Yes. Oh, that's right. I did take. Oh, I took a selfie with Nana. But again, nothing beats. Shout out to Mama Camhi. And when I met Mama Camhi, I said, "Hi, Mama Camhi." She said, No, baby. Call me Dale." And it was at Brooke's wedding. I was at the bar. Shout out to Brooke's dog Bacon, who sponsored the bar
Aw.
because it was an open bar. And there was a whole bunch of people surrounding Dale. And I was at the corner of the bar, and Dale just walks through, and the sea of people just open up, and Dale just walks through. And there was this lady next to me who Dale, I guess she thought Dale was coming to her, but Dale came to me and she said, "So glad to meet you." I said,
Oh.
so shout out Mama Camhi and Papa Camhi. I mean, Dale and Papa Camhi.
And a little shout out to Bacon, who this week
And-
is recovering from surgery quite nicely by my feet. So the Purple Pants Podcast Pitstop, what do we call them? Mascot is recovering right here, covered in scars, looking like Frankenweenie, but surviving and doing great. Okay, so we are in Bulgaria. We have I started now just abbreviating teams' names with letters, and I know I'm going to mess it up. So I've already okay, so Jack and Carson leave at 12:34. Han and Holden, 1:16. Alyssa and Josiah, 1:19. Brett and Mark, 1:27. Jonathan and Anna, 1:35. Melinda and Erica, 1:36. Nick and Mike, 1:37. So there's like an hour between the teams at the beginning of the leg. At the end of the leg, it's more. Okay, so we have Jack and Carson who are feeling good. They talk about how Jack is always calm under pressure, and I say foreshadowing. Then we have
Foreshadowing.
bye, buddy. Then we have Han and Holden. She is so grateful to do this with her brother. My brother and I, only one of us would probably still be alive, but we would not be getting this edit. We couldn't be getting this edit because we wouldn't be acting so kind to each other. And then we have Alyssa and Josiah. They want the money. Cue the awe. To pay off their debts and
Come on.
start a family and have children. The world needs mini Josiahs.
They do.
Alyssa's, like, don't get me wrong, she's great too. Like, but yeah, okay. Jonathan and Anna. Jonathan is starting optimistic.
But okay,
Good.
I don't know
Okay.
if it was me, but after again watching their YouTube video last week and knowing that they packed 7 hats, they packed 16 chapsticks, I paid such attention to their hats this week. I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of a new hat, and I was like,
You're gonna
wait,
bring them all, wear them all, right? I mean,
right, and maybe this is like hyper of me, but I paused it, zoomed in, and I was like, oh, Jonathan's lips are really well moisturized. So it's like, listen, those 16 chapsticks, they are paying off. They really were moisturized. I said, okay, I see you, Jonathan.
you zoomed in on Jonathan's lips, is what you're saying. Okay.
It was in my mind. When I saw the hat, I was like, oh, wow, like this is a new hat and it's fresh. And I was like, oh, wait. Anna did say they brought a lot of hats.
Yeah, because he hasn't worn it yet.
So I zoomed in.
I don't know. I mean, thank God that he's carrying most of the load, because if you're going to I have to say, there was a girl on my season who packed a 50-pound bag. 48, I think, was the answer, which is absurd. Mine was like 21, and that was still sort of absurd. But I feel like with however many hats and that many chapsticks and that many whatever, that bag was probably so heavy. You're fine. You're going to be fine. I know it's fine. Okay. We're going to have a little bit of vocalization from the dog today. I was bacon. Okay. We have Melinda and Erica, who are a little worried about the self-drive because Erica can find anything on a phone, but not anything on a real map. And yet, I think they're going to get everywhere first because they have the best senses of direction. And then you have Nick and Mike, who are just grateful to be here and aren't taking this for granted. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think this was how the episode was gonna turn out based upon like when they at the beginning when they do their little like in the car, in the taxi, like snippets, you can sort of get a feel for where it's gonna go. I got a little feel for Carson and Jack, but I didn't really get a feel for what was
Neither did I.
Nick and Mike.
But I do have to say,
Mm-hmm.
I do have a couple of cuss outs this week. And one of my cuss outs, and I'll be gentle because they did go home, but I do have a cuss out for the Fios brother. But I was just like, what? The Fios brothers. I felt like they needed to take a moment during this episode, just like during the Dart Challenge, and just do a meditation of a woosah. But this episode and the Dungeon Brothers, they had me nervous.
They have a horseshoe up their butt because I do not understand this. A team has never been so lucky to be so far behind because they were so far behind that nobody even realized that they were behind. Like that, they were seen nowhere. And I got to tell you, I feel like if any team had seen them, they would no longer be with us. Well, in the race, not in life, but you know what I mean.
The fact that you say that, I actually, you know what? I got another cuss out. And this week, this cuss out is for Phil. Because I feel, yes, Phil.
I do not support this cuss out. Please continue.
Phil, at last week at the mat, when the Dungeon Brothers got there, Phil said, and do you think no one sees you guys? And I feel like that was like almost like a bad juju karma. I almost feel like Phil put a spell on the Dungeon Brothers.
Maybe he saved their lives.
Maybe. Well, maybe. But again,
he said, you think nobody sees you? Guess what? Nobody saw them.
And no one saw them.
Right.
Okay.
They were invisible.
That is foreshadowing. Okay.
Right. So Phil's the king of foreshadowing.
So anyway, it's not a cuss out. Maybe it's a thank you.
No, it's not. It's a thank you, right?
Okay.
So everyone's on the same flight. Nick and Mike are gunning for first. I'd like to see it. It's not happening. Okay, so they all
of the season.
Right. They need to specify what kind of first that they're gunning for because I think maybe it's all about your prayers being specific because, works in mysterious ways. Okay, so everyone is sprinting through the airport except Erica and Melinda, who are taking it slow, and somehow they're always going to get somewhere first. Okay, here we go. Self-drive. So the route information says drive to some village square and find your next clue. I have now decided that if I cannot pronounce things, I'm just going to say some or the or a. So some village square and find your clue. Okay. Also, I need Erica in my life because she's keeping Melinda calm, even though Melinda is more Brooke than Erica is Brooke. So, okay. Mark doesn't know how to get the car in reverse. I love the self-drive. Han and Holden are trying to pass, I think, Alyssa and Josiah, but they can't because they don't know how to drive the car either. And Mark figures out how to get the car in reverse and then just hits Alyssa and Josiah. But, not my car, not my problem. And I see cows. Just FYI, I'm noting the cows. I'm adding them to the sanctuary. Sorry, stop taking me to countries where there are livestock. I won't want to take them home with me.
You know what I thought of during this self-drive leg when these cars were getting stuck? I actually thought of, I know a team.
I know exactly what you thought of. Go ahead.
That would have and could have been great for this. And
Rowan and
Maya, I felt like that maybe this could have been their episode. Okay.
They gotta come back.
They do. I love Rohan and Maya.
Great.
But I feel like they would have been able to get out of this situation. But I do have a little cuss out. Well, actually, I wasn't mad at Mark when Mark got out of was it Mark?
No. Yeah, it was Mark. Because he did the exact right thing. Yeah.
When he got out the car and said, hey, I'm going to help you, but he put some stipulations. And was the stipulations, we're going to go ahead of you or like? Yes. Okay. And I was like, that's how you do it. And again,
that's exactly right.
Feel like
that was very Todd and Ashley. I'm going to give you the answer, but I'm going to cut this line. And so I have no problem with that. Otherwise, you're going to sit there for a week waiting for these people to get out. And I don't know if they were the first ones. I don't think they were. I think Jack and Kirsten were already gone the wrong way, but they were gone. And I think, at some point you have to say, look, I'm going to do it for you, but I'm out before you. And that was exactly right. And I'm for that.
I also loved how Han and Holden, Holden just jumped right in the front and was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And again, we learned even more about Han and Holden this week. You're
on it.
Yes.
Yeah, really.
With the military background and that Holden can read maps.
And the cool thing, we're learning another thing. I'll do that too, but I don't want to freak out Bacon. So another thing we learned, apparently, if there's a green space on a map, it means that you can hide a platoon of soldiers in that area. It's big enough to house a platoon of soldiers. So now I know that anytime I'm going to a park, a troop of soldiers could live there. I don't know.
Is that any map? Is that like that? Like
We'll have to ask them if they ever get eliminated. And part of me thinks they will never get eliminated. So we'll find out, at the finale. Very honestly, he is Sacer, or he is the
Sacer to the Ricky. Yes, absolutely.
Right. But also Joel and Garrett, weren't they the ones who like had every job or did a little bit of everything?
Yes.
So Holden has like, he was, went to military school. He went to leadership training. That's how he can tie this knot. That's how he can read this map. That's what, go at it, Holden. So then we have, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and Han, she has the surfing, and she has the they are really the perfect team.
They're a great balance. Yep.
They really are. I absolutely love them. And at the end of the episode, they felt like they said a little saying that it was like, what do we say? We don't give up, and we don't
never quit.
Never quit. I said
never give up, never quit.
I need that motto when I'm at work.
So do I.
When they're sending me a Teams message to say that the report is doing 20 minutes, and I say, well, never give up and never quit, because I be thinking I'm giving up.
I want to do both those things.
And I'm quitting. So, Han, I need you to put that on the shirt, because I be needing
just
it.
Needle pointed into a pillow for Brice to keep in his office. So Josiah talks about how they practice for this. It's amazing, because there are people who do not practice for this. There are people who go on the Amazing Race who never drive stick shift. Now, I learned to drive stick shift on the FDR here in New York City. If you're going on the Amazing Race, I have a great driving school for you in New York City. My instructor probably thought I was a lunatic and probably also knew what I was doing, because I made him pull over. I made him let me pull over to the side of the road. Then I made us both get out of the car. And then I made us run to the car so I could turn the car on quickly. And he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, what? Turning on getting started is the hardest part. And he's like, oh, I think I know what you're doing this for. And I was like, I need to know how to drive, but I also need to know how to not stall out, like getting in quickly. And so that makes all the difference. So training is important. Kids, train if you're going on the race. Jack and Carson, this is where they get lost. We will see them again in about 25 minutes. So we get to the clue box. We have Jonathan and Anna and Josiah and Alyssa find the clue box first. You have to do a Kolkari offering where you have to gather some apples, deliver them to the altar in a land of where the wild things are, for, I don't know, good luck and to ward off evil spirits. I think that's the best I can remember.
I was nervous at this because I think Jonathan just put the crates in, and I think Josiah and Alyssa, they dumped it in. And the way they edited the music, they made it seem like Anna and Jonathan were going to get there and something was going to go wrong.
I thought they were going to get a penalty.
So was I. I was like, oh my God, you're not reading the clue. But nothing happened. So I was like, good, because I was like, I don't know how this will go.
So this is where, I'm very pro Josiah. Anyone who knows me knows that. His dad jokes are getting like worse and worse as the episode goes on. So this my family has carried a lot of fruit. I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Okay. They can't all be winners. Although you seem to think that's hilarious. So okay.
I'm practicing my laugh. I'm practicing my laugh for at Thanksgiving soon when I'm with his cousin and Josiah gives out. Josiah! Alyssa, how do you put up with him? Josiah!
I think you've lost your mind. You might have lost it.
Josiah said you got to be prepared. Okay, so listen. You read a map. I'm practicing to laugh at the joke so the family like me, because I'm going to be a part of this family.
Okay. So Jonathan and Anna finished the apple thing first. Josiah and Alyssa finished it second. And the clue box says, drive yourself to some library in some village and find a clue in the library. So Mark and Brett show up. Brett is having so much fun. He is dancing to the beat. I am loving them. They are so positive. They finish in third. They start talking about how the outfits are so Doja Cat and Coachella. And thank you to the editors who then show us a picture of Doja Cat's dancers at Coachella. And I got to tell you, Brett and Mark knew exactly what they were talking about. Yeah. I don't know if it's the Amazing Race or just Doja Cat got it from Bulgaria. Bulgaria got it from Doja Cat. I don't know. I'm guessing Doja Cat got it from Bulgaria.
It was funny, timely for the Coachella reference, because Coachella Weekend Part 1 was last weekend and Coachella Weekend Part 2 was this weekend. And do you know what I was doing this weekend from Thursday night till Sunday morning was, I don't sleep, so I'll be up at like 4 a.m. I was watching people's cars set up at Coachella, the videos that people make on TikTok about their cars at Coachella. I love it. And I guess weekend one was a little bit of a mess. They changed the companies, and so the car parking to get in was a nightmare. Some people got there at 5 a.m. and weren't set up until 3 p.m. But I've been on my Coachella and I'm excited because weekend 2. So I will be watching my Coachella car camping video. So if you are a TikTok creator out there and you're going to Coachella, keep it up because I love it.
There are videos of people's cars getting set up for the music festival.
So, at Coachella, like you can car camp. And so there's like this whole parking lot and people it's a big production. Brooke, hold on. Where's my phone? Let me add it to the list of things that I will send you. I love it.
Okay.
So yes, Coachella.
Okay. And you know me, I don't sleep either. So send it over because I'll start watching. Jack and Carson still lost.
Okay,
not
wait,
important. We'll see
time
in
out,
another
6
15 minutes.
seconds. We do this on Survivor News, but I feel like this could help you. There was a performer at Coachella. Let me work it. Put my thing down, flip it and reverse it. Is your nah? Is your yeah? Nah, you got a big fat. Let me work it to find out how did I could twerk it. Is your now? Yeah. Is your yeah?
I know my strength. This is not it. Missy Elliott.
Yes. Name the song.
Work it.
Okay, Brooke.
I'm not great with rappers, but that I could do. Okay. I am right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay. So Jonathan and Anna get to the library. They find the clue very quickly, and this is a detour. Now, I know you have not seen I want to say it's season 6. You have not seen season 6 of The Amazing Race. There is a challenge with some hay bales. So when I saw Haystack or Woodstack, I stood up, I yelled at the screen, don't do the Haystack. Now, this was like Haystack light because compared to the one, Nick and Mike won't agree with me, but compared to the one from 30 seasons ago, there was a team, and their names are going to escape me, but they'll pop back in here one day. So there were like 200 humongous hay bales, like the circle, like spiral circle things in a field. 200. 12 of them had a clue. And it's within these 3, it's within these 10, it's within these 200. And as more teams showed up, less and less clues were available. And there was one team, I can see it, 2 cute blonde girls. Someone will tell me in the comments. They were there for like 14 hours. Maybe it was 8 hours. Deep into the night, they unrolled over 100 hay bales. I think it was the longest detour ever. You know what? It might have been a roadblock. It might have been one person doing it, which makes it even worse. I think it was the longest challenge ever logged on The Amazing Race. So when I saw Haystack find a little bracelet in a haystack and hand to the farmer, I was like, don't do it. Do whatever else the other option is. The other option is Woodstack, which is apparently 1/3 of Bulgaria is covered in forests. And this is Jeff and Pops' challenge. But you need to use a wheelbarrow and I wanted to say backpack, but it's not even a backpack, just like some sticks and a rope to carry 440 pounds of wood to some neighborhood guy home and get your clue. Now, you and I have talked a little about this. You, I think, would have done Haystack.
Yes.
And I would have dragged you kicking and screaming to the other one.
For some reason, I just feel like it is a luck game, but I do feel like I would have conjured up The Amazing Race luck and I would have been good at this. Also, I would have ensured that I would have sifted the hay.
Yes. I know that's where your little bop is going to come from this.
That is where my bop for Nick and Mike is going to come with love. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I felt like that the wood challenge seemed like a lot. And I feel like the hay would have been a lot. But there was just something in my spirit. And maybe because, I go to temple just like Josiah and Alyssa, because I feel like they had that spirit of the Temple Owls and they got it. And I don't know. I feel like I would have done that. Now, when Anna and Jonathan, well, I guess according to Jonathan, when Anna picked the challenge, okay? Because listen, Jonathan, you're not immune to getting cussed out either. I when they went there, I was like, oh no, this ain't gonna be good for Jonathan. One, I was like, the hay, it makes you itchy because I love a good hayride during Halloween. And, it's itchy, it's hot, it's in the sun. I was like, this is not going to be good for Jonathan. And Jonathan was cracking me up.
If I had to hear him say one more time that she made a bad call in choosing Haystack and he starts getting cranky and that she keeps making the wrong picks, this woman has the patience of a saint. Like, I would have bopped him at this point. Like, I give her all the credit in the world. It is a 2-person team. I'm so tired of being like, you did. And now, granted, when I was on the race, my partner and I yelled at each other, you did this, you did that. But in my defense, just slightly, just the one thing is we didn't know each other. We were like full on strangers. These two know each other. You don't tell your wife like that everything is her fault. That being said,
this is why I love Anna. This is why I love Anna. She paid Jonathan no mind at
all. My favorite moment is later because she just basically tells him to shut up.
Right. But also John's like, oh, why did we do this? Oh my God, Anna. And Anna is like, baby, come on, keep it like again. Yeah. That's why I love Anna, because it's like,
me too.
She know her husband. And she probably knew that this challenge would elicit this. Because if I were Anna, I would have been like, shut up, be quiet. But Anna just came cool, calm, and collective. And what I will say, give Jonathan some love. When I give Jonathan some love, he was complaining. It was Anna's fault, but guess what?
But he never stopped moving.
He never stopped.
I'll give him that. That is,
take a nap.
I complained constantly, but you always keep moving. Like, as long as you're moving forward and you're not standing still, you're good. I give you all the credit for that, 100%. But maybe just, you both made the choice. She didn't pick you up and carry you over there and say, we're doing this one. Like, this is a team decision, but
I hate to admit it. There is a lot of Jonathan and me.
Because same. I mean, let's be real.
When I don't want to do something and it's not working out, it's Wendell and Brooke's fault. Okay, why are we here? But when it does work out, and you do find the bracelet. Good job. Glad we made this decision. So it's like, although Jonathan is a lot, let's be real.
He's a lot in the best way right now. I mean, he's entertaining. It's good TV. Give it that. Okay. So anyway, Josiah and Alyssa found the clue at the library. Han and Holden were at the apples. Jack and Carson are getting directions. They are like legitimately 3 hours away. We'll see them in another 12 minutes. We talk about the haystack. Jonathan and Anna did that. And Josiah and Alyssa get there, and they're staying very positive. Alyssa finds it in 14 seconds flat. This is pure luck. This does not help Jonathan's mood. And this is where you start saying that Anna has made every wrong decision. But let's cut to the Woodstack, because Brett and Mark have decided. Cheers to Brett and Mark, because not only now do I know that they're students of the game, but Brett's like, the haystack, and Brett and Mark goes, no, we have seen this show. I know that the haystack is not the answer. So I give all of the claps to Mark, who said, I have seen this. I know better. And they're going to do the other one. I will say this haystack I think the Amazing Race learned from previous experiences and did make this one doable.
I also think the budget back then was a little different than now. And, with the tariffs, girl, I don't know how much hay is now. So, I mean, they probably just settled for the three hay because.
Well, I think they did this so people wouldn't be there for 6 hours, and then people were there for 6 hours. But my favorite part is Brett and Mark start trying to do the conversion from kilograms to pounds in their head. And so Brett's like, I feel like 200 kilograms is like 400 pounds. And Mark's like, no, it's the other way. It's like, it's light. It'll be done in 5 minutes. It's not. It's 440 pounds. It's 1 pound is 2.2. Wait, 1 kilogram is 2.2 pounds. And so, but honestly, people killed this. The amount that they carried in 2 tries is nuts to me. I would have been like, here is 2 logs. Frankly, Nick and Mike should have grabbed an extra 2 logs. We'll have a TED talk about it later, but whatever.
What I
want Pops and Jeff in this episode, but I can't always get what I want. People tell me that all the time. So shut up, Brooke, and move on. So,
don't underestimate the strength of the gays, okay? Because
never have I ever, and never will I.
The gays are strong. We can hold a lot on our backs.
So post the detour. Okay, so when you're done with the detour, which Josiah and Alyssa and Brett and Mark and Jonathan and Anna are now, you have to make your way on foot to this church in the village. Double U-turn ahead. So this is like a really rough one to have to do both sides. Like the Amazing Race was cruel and unusual this week. So at this time, Erica and Melinda are at the library. Han and Holden go to the wrong library, and Jack and Carson are just, who even knows, they are just so far behind. And this worked in their favor. So I don't know. So, okay, at the church.
Melinda took me out, though, when they got to the library. She was like, maybe it'll be under A for Amazing Race.
And it should have been. It should have been, and that were P for Phil or something. Smart. That's like that thing that you think it through. They thought it would be in a book, but it was kind of just sticking out of the shelf.
Also, the Dungeon Brothers took me out after they got directions and realized they were like 30 kilometers off. And they're like, we're not lost.
But we're not found.
We're definitely not failed. The way I chuckle, I love their little one-liners.
They're great.
The Dungeon Brothers can do no wrong in my book. I'm going to start using that.
So, okay. So Josiah and Alyssa get to the U-turn board and U-turn no one. This is going to sound like I'm piling on, but I'm not. I kind of wanted to see two things. What would happen if Jonathan and Anna got U-turned? And also, I wanted to see if they would U-turn somebody, because they got really cranky when somebody U-turned them in a mandatory U-turn vote where nobody had a choice. Deal with it. But I do like that they decided they weren't going to use it. They are above the fray, and they are moving on and letting everybody else fight it out. Kind of thought Carson and Jack were screwed at that point. I thought they were going to U-turn them. And I would have been fine with it because, you know, spite. Spite is a good reason to do anything.
My one gripe with Alyssa and Josiah, I get, and you know, Josiah, you know I love you. Alyssa, you know I love you. However, I said last episode was episode 6. Now it's episode 7. We are putting this into neutral. I wouldn't have been mad if they would have U-turned somebody.
Sure, but you're in first place. You don't need to do it. You don't want to piss people off. You don't know what twist is coming next. Best to just leave it alone. If you're second to last, sure. But if you're first, I'm sort of on board with what they're doing. And they saw how hard those tasks were and how long that they could take. And so I feel like they thought they had a cushion. Fine. So, okay. So let's see. Jonathan's still complaining about the thingy. We don't need to go. He starts to spell. Okay, second place. They don't U-turn anybody either. Okay, so Josiah and Alyssa are at the church. Okay, so then the clue says you have to go to a village and find a farm to find your next clue. And I think there are going to be animals, and that makes me happy because I love all the animals. While this is happening, Han and Holden have found the right library and the clue very, very quickly. They think they are going to do Woodstack. I think they are going to do both. So, and while that's happening, Brett and Mark have finished Woodstack. They also don't U-turn anyone. They're going to let everybody else fight it out. I'm okay with that too. You're in the front. Don't piss people off because you never know how people are going to take it. You might not be friends with them anymore. And that was
okay. Lori said, we ain't friends no more. And I'm mad, Lori.
Yeah. So, okay. So here is one of the things that happened. This is where I think you're going to have something to say about it. So Jonathan and Anna have parked in the wrong spot. We forgot to mention this earlier, but they missed the arrows and they have decided instead of parking on the paved road, they are going to park in a ditch. And they cannot get their car out of this ditch. They're trying everything. They can't do it. If your car is no longer operable for whatever reason on the Amazing Race, you have 3 choices. Choice 1. Fix it yourself. Choice 2, get somebody else to fix it for you. Choice 3, call for a new car, and they will provide you with a new car, but you don't get a time credit. So the amount of time it takes for them to get a new car out to you, tough poops. That's the end.
That is not the only choices in Amazing Race. And shame on you, Brooke, for winning Amazing Race Season 29 and not knowing that there is a 4th option. If something happens to your car and it is inoperable, the 4th option is you get on the phone and you call Rod and Letitia and you have Rod pluck it out of the ditch because last season, Rod said, and the car got out of the ditch. I said, Jonathan, where you at?
Rod
Jonathan?
looked at the car and said, "Get out of the ditch." And the car was like, "Okay." And it hopped itself right out of the ditch. But I do give Jonathan and Anna credit because two things. One, they tried everything, like with a cardboard and some sticks and whatever. It's interesting to me. This did not seem to annoy Jonathan. Jonathan did not seem to get upset over the car in the ditch. But honestly, I feel like this is also a little bit Brooke, because big things, I feel like I snap into like, how do I fix this? Let's do it. Fine. It's the teeny little things that I make a mountain out of a molehill. So I sort of get this, but I like that he snapped into what can we do? What can we do? Now, also, he's on the side going, why does everything bad happen to me? But I'm willing to let that slide. So Brett and Mark, Han and Holden pass them while they're getting to the challenge and like, oh my God, they're stuck. Let's move. Brett and Mark see Jonathan and Anna and have decided they are going to help. What do you feel about the help? I said, I think Brice is going to be annoyed by this, and I see a bop in our future.
If it wasn't Brett and Mark, I would have been a little madder. However, we have seen Brett and Mark earlier in the season, and they, like Jonathan said, why does everything bad happen to me? I feel like that was Brett and Mark's story. Why does everything bad happen to them? So I feel like, and you know I love to cuss people out, but you know I'm not going to cuss my Brett and Mark out. I feel like they're good. Like, this just goes to show you, like, they are good people, and I feel like they know what it's like. And I like the fact that they set a timer. They said, we'll help you for 32 seconds.
If they stayed for more than 5 minutes, I was going to be like, move on. But I do like they said, look, we'll try and help you for a minute. They got a little bit of goodwill. If something bad happens to them in the future, I feel like they can lean on Jonathan and Anna, and they will sort of be required to help them at least for 5 minutes. And then they said, okay, we tried, we're out of here. And there is a Brett and Mark sized hole through that wall, and they are gone. So Jonathan
I was nervous at this point, though, because first of all, is it only me? But I listen to the music. I feel like the music sometimes, if it's or if it's like
anything in a minor chord, something bad's about to happen.
And while it's and then we're going to commercial, and Anna's like. And we don't normally see Anna break. Like, you know, Anna, like, does not break. And Anna's just like, I don't know what else we can do. We're stuck. I was like, oh, my God. And also, shout out again to Anna. Because if I was Anna, after that haystack that I had to deal with Jonathan, I'm sorry. I would have been like, babe, why did you park here?
Why did you park here?
Why did you park here? I would have definitely tried to.
She's a better person than we are. That's just what it is. She's a better human being. She's less spiteful and less petty.
Because I like Purple 2 seconds. I just would have just had to let Jonathan have it. But I also was like, okay, not the locals breaking the sticks, like, you know.
And you know, this is not the first time this has happened. If the locals know to break the sticks and try and like get them under the tire, but it doesn't work.
It doesn't. And then shout out to that neighbor. And I like the neighbor that came, mind you, but I also like how that neighbor, he wasn't running. He wasn't moving fast. He just he had that little rope. He said, okay, all right, I've seen this before. Here you go. Let me connect it. Because he was not moving fast, okay? He just was.
Your neighbor sounds like my mother, sounds like that doctor that you did a few episodes. They're all that same, like, very deep. Very
you got stuck. I got a cord in my car. I go.
Meanwhile, that works. They get towed out of the hole and whatever. And Han and Holden go and do Woodstack. Holden is an expert, not tire, because he learned it from a leadership class. They're gonna win. I just write they're gonna win in big letters. Like, they just have to win at this point. Nothing else will make sense to me. Everything else will seem wrong, unless Brett and Mark. Or Jack or Carson. Unless anybody else wins.
Or Anna and Jonathan.
Yes, agree.
Or Melinda and Erica.
Yes, anyway, that falls under anyone else. Okay, so Erica and Melinda show up and go to Haystack. Erica finds a dead lizard in her haystack. Why does everything bad happen to her? And then Mike and Nick arrive and see Jonathan and Anna in the ditch. So Jonathan and Anna are there for a while, and they go to do Woodstack. This is where it all starts to fall apart for Nick and Mike. Side note, Jack and Carson are still lost. Okay. To Nick and Mike.
No, they're lost. They're not lost.
No, they are. They're still lost at this point. They're not even not found. They're lost. So while Han and Holden get 71 kilograms on their first trip, Nick and Mike get 98 and a half. They're going to do it in 2. Mike's asthma is starting to act up, but they are beating it. Like, they are kicking ass. Nick and Mike pass Han and Holden. And on their second trip, they end up with 199 kilograms. They need one more piece of wood. One piece of
That
wood.
would have pissed me off a little bit. Like, stop playing with me, Judge. Like,
but also, let's think about this. If they had one more piece of wood, they would have arrived at the U-turn board before anybody else. They wouldn't have been U-turn. They would have been in. If when they saw Erica and Melinda finish and start running to the U-turn board, they hadn't been walking slowly and they put a little pep in their step and they arrived 2 seconds before them to the U-turn board, they wouldn't have been U-turned. They would have moved on. There were so many teeny little things that could have gone differently for them this episode, which were so unfortunate. So anyway, my point is, this is all to say, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brooke Camhi, and I was on season 12. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Oh, hold on. Wait.
Yep.
Hold on, wait. Yeah, sorry.
Hi, my name is Brooke, and I was on season 29 of The Amazing Race. Welcome to my TED Talk. If you are ever lucky enough to be chosen to be a contestant on The Amazing Race, and there is a challenge where you have to, I don't know, milk a sheep or carry wood or do something that you're going to need to get a certain amount of something to fill up to a line or to weigh a certain amount, always grab one extra. Always do one extra. Always pull that other 1 or 2 or 3 extra times, because if you don't, you could end up U-turned and stuck in a field for 6 hours, 5 feet away from the bracelet that you need, stuck under some hay, and be eliminated. So always do extra. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Now, I do have to say, I love the Files brothers. Lord knows I do. However, last week's episode, I almost felt a little poetic justice because we saw the foot race of Jeff and Pops and Nick and Mike. And Pops just couldn't keep up. I didn't like it, but I liked it. The fact that it was Melinda and Erica. You know, Melinda got a bad knee, so she can't run. And the fact that they got there and that they pulled the trigger on the U-turn of the Files brothers, I absolutely hated it, but I loved it. Like, I took my personal feelings out of the teams because, you know, I love the Files brothers, but as a just watcher of The Amazing Race, and you know how I think about the mother on the team, like just the fact that like they were like gangster with it. And although their reasoning for being gangster was, well, because, you know, the Dungeon brothers are lost.
Well, they didn't even know where, I think they didn't know where they were. I think because you can't open the clue box until you've decided to U-turn or not U-turn, because you're not supposed to be able to do the math. If you don't know where people are, you don't know where people are. That's because there have been plenty of times where someone U-turned someone in front of them thinking they were behind them. You don't get to know. But I think had they opened the clue box and seen 3, they wouldn't have U-turned anybody. I think this was just a them or us, but they messed up the them and the us. So
I mean, did they though? Like, listen.
Yes, of course. Are you kidding? If you can U-turn somebody 5 feet behind you, or somebody who's like way behind, you turn the way behind. You're gonna guarantee yourself to live another day that way. Plus, the way behind is definitely gonna go home. The 5 feet behind you may not go home, and then they're gonna be pissed next time. And you don't want people pissed. You've seen what happens when the people get pissed, and they're not friends anymore, and
and when the people get pissed and they go home, you might not have to worry about it.
But if they don't go home,
but they did, and I'm sad about it. But also, I am so happy that they did it, because it's like, this is the excitement, the adrenaline that I live for The Amazing Race. And although it's very subtle, I just like that, you know, Erica and Melinda, they did the death drop on the Files brothers.
Dirty deed to the Files brothers. Okay, so they've been U-turned. So meanwhile, Alyssa and Josiah get to the farm, and it says, who's ready to fill her up? You got to milk a sheep and eat a bunch of Bulgarian yogurt. Now, Brice, I would have fought you to get to do this one, but I don't think you're going to make me fight, because I don't think you want to do this one.
Oh, I would have done that. Oh, listen.
Would you have wanted to do it, though? Because I would have been like, me, Brooke, sheep, animals, I'm in. Plus, I really like yogurt.
I mean, listen, some would say I'm an expert at milking things. So I feel like I would have had the experience, but you know, this is a family-friendly show.
And I would have let you do it. Okay, so Alyssa is so excited to do this. Like, she's excited. Like, she's like Brooke levels of excited to do this. Like, she's very into it. I am traveling in a few weeks. I want to shear a sheep. I'm going to find a place to shear a sheep. This is like, I don't know why it's on my bucket list of things to do. When I was having dreams about The Amazing Race, they inevitably always go to me shearing a sheep. I've never sheared a sheep. I don't know why this is in my dreams, but it is. I'm going to do it. I'll take pictures. Anyway, Josiah then says, we do the same kind of thing in Philly, but instead of a sheep, it's a keg, and instead of milk, it's beer. And I actually think that one's funny. So keep making your stupid jokes because this time I am laughing. Anyway, Alyssa does a great job. They're in first place, and they're off to the pit stop at Aline, Pauline. I don't know, someplace that rhymes. Okay. Oh, okay. Back at the detour. Erica and Melinda, they've done the U-turn. We've already talked about this, not important, blah, blah, blah. In a land far, far away, Jack and Carson have found the village with the apples. They're somehow still having fun. I don't know. If someone realizes that they're behind, they're going to get U-turn, but nobody realizes it because they're so far behind. Now, Mark and Brett have made their way to the roadblock. This is the moment of the episode for me. Again, for Mark and Brett, because they always have the moment of the episode. The clue says, who's ready to fill him up? Mark says, maybe we have to fill a hole or fill a car with gasoline. You're on a farm. You do not have to fill a car with gasoline. But that's fine. Mark says he's going to do it. And it says milk a goat. And he is not only not happy, but he is so upset that he says, I have a desire to pass away from this earth without ever having to touch an udder. They're so entertaining. Mark then, there's an even better moment of the episode. Mark is milking the sheep. I keep saying goat, sheep. And he goes, good girl or boy. You cannot milk a boy sheep. Like this.
Well,
it's a girl. It's giving you milk. It's a girl. You cannot have milk from a boy sheep.
Well, you got to remember, these are the gays. Listen, we can milk things, okay? So listen, I understood what Mark was saying, okay? I got you. We see each other, Mark.
Well, they're in second. Jonathan and Anna also show up. Anna does it and does it well. Jonathan says, can you go faster? Anna says, no. Like she just says, no. Just stand there, be quiet. I'm doing it. She does it very quickly. She gets it in one try. They're in third place. Side note, do you think this grandma had to eat 6 bowls of yogurt? Like, do you think she just sat there or continued? Is that how she's lived? Because she keeps eating and eating every time someone shows up. The moment between Mark and the is very, very sweet, by the way. Daddy sits on the floor and he's like, I'm just going to have a moment. And she reminded me of my Nana and I love it. Love it, love it. Okay. So since everybody is in different places, let's cut to Josiah and Alyssa get to the pit stop. They win a trip to Marrakesh. Love them. Mark and Brett are second and Jonathan and Anna are third. This I love. Phil actually calls Jonathan out a little bit and says, hey, so whenever things aren't really going your way, you're a little hard on yourself and your partner. What are you learning about yourself? And to Jonathan's credit, he doesn't go, no, I'm not. No, you know what I'm talking about. He says, I'm learning to stay confident and be more resilient through the lows. And I think we have a good shot to win. Now, I think it would be a good opportunity to talk about how patient his partner is, but I'll take it for what I get. This page somehow is blank, which means we're moving on to the next page. I don't know. We now return you to this week's drama. Okay, the detour. Nobody is in the same place. So, okay. Nick and Mike get their Woodstack done, and they're in fourth place. But at the same time, Erica and Melinda have finished there and found their bracelet. So Erica and Melinda think Nick and Mike are the only ones behind them, so they're going to U-turn them. If I'm Nick and Mike, I'm screaming. I don't know why they didn't do this. Han and Holden are behind. Like, I think they were. Weren't they still? I don't even know anymore. Maybe they weren't, but I thought
they
that
had
they
to
were.
be, yeah.
Yeah, I would have been screaming like, Han and Holden are behind us. Like, U-turn them, please. Like, I would have done something to yell because they saw each other. And Erica and Melinda don't realize that Han and Holden are there because they think that Nick and Mike are the only ones behind them. And so they U-turn Nick and Mike. Nick and Mike, in an act of desperation, because what else are they going to do? U-turn Han and Holden. Carson and Jack have, and I quote, a horseshoe up their chuckuses because they are the luckiest team to ever run the amazing race. Erica feels badly. When I U-turned somebody, I got in the car and cried. My partner said, deal with it. And I dealt with it. Jack and Carson now suddenly have a shot. Okay, so speaking of Jack and Carson, they are now finally heading to the detour. They have found the library, and smartly, they open the clue and say, wait a second, with a needle and a haystack, we're really far behind. Maybe that's the one we do because it can take 5 seconds. It's not what they end up doing.
And I agree, and I was with them.
I agree. No, I was with that. That's good logic. That's good sound logic. If you're in last place and it's your Hail Mary, if you can find something quickly, face dive into that hay and see what you can do. Okay. Here's the problem. Nick and Mike have to go do the haystack, and Nick now that I can tell them apart, is not combing through the hay. He is throwing chunks of hay all over the place and has most certainly thrown the bracelet and missed it completely. Han and Holden are staying positive and becoming one with the hay. So these two teams think they're fighting for last. They don't think there's anybody else around. So Nick and Mike get through all 3 stacks and have to go through it again because they can't find it. Why they didn't get down on their hands and knees and crawl through this hay and just like press down is beyond me.
What was making me mad was that they just were throwing the hay everywhere. It was like just the feel. I'm like, at least throw the hay in a pile that you can discern that you went through it. And then I don't know if it was Mike, but Mike was just picking up the hay and throwing it. I was like,
Mike was the one who was like, look, you're not shaking it out. This is probably why we missed it in the first place. Like, but honestly, you saw it from above. Like, I wish there was, I think on season 6, there was like a counter of like hour 17. Like, it was just like really kind of ridiculous. And to imagine being there for 6 hours.
I couldn't.
And I do like that the show showed us where the bracelet was, because I started going, it's not there. It's just not there. Like, they didn't, it's not even in the pile. Like, it's just gone. But they showed it to us. Anyway, at this time, Holden has found it. They start screaming, never back down and never quit. They're so positive. I love them. And Nick and Mike feel dejected because they feel at their last, but they're not. And I want to yell at them and shake them. There's another team behind you. Keep going, but they don't know. So, Erica and Melinda are now lost on their way to the roadblock for the first time ever, because apparently Erica cannot read a map. And Han and Holden go the right way and pass Erica and Melinda. Back at the detour. Wait, hold on. Holden does the roadblock. He says it's harder than it looks because, and I quote, I want to get the words right, I don't know where the squirt hole is coming from.
When I say you just got to love Holden, okay?
Love
the
him.
Squirt hole, like, wait, what? Holden!
I don't even know. And then when he gets to the yogurt, he asks the nice lady whose house it clearly is it, and she's probably an actor, can I wash my hands? And she's like, can somebody get me a napkin? Because somehow he's gotten poop on his hands. I don't know where he was touching the sheep to get poop on his hands.
Not in the squirt hole.
No, not in the squirt
hole. The wrong hole, Holden. Okay. You got poop on your hand.
I don't exactly know what the squirt hole is, but I do know poops doesn't come out of the squirt hole. Anyway, they're in 4th place. Melinda and Erica show up. Melinda does it very fast, has a nice conversation with 102-year-old Nona, and they are in 5th. That's how they end up at the pit stop. Han and Holden in 4th, which is amazing considering they did both sides of a detour. Yes. Melinda and Erica in 5th. And if they didn't U-turn anybody, they still would have been fine, but okay. And back at the detour, Nick and Mike are now talking about taking a penalty. The thing is, when we raced, you couldn't take a penalty until the next team arrived. It wouldn't start until the next team arrived. But if you're last, I guess you can just take it and hope for the best. Carson and Jack show up, and they are invigorated. Like, they start Haystack, and then they decide, wait, we see Nick and Mike, and that is not a life we want to live. We're going to do the other one because at least we know we can make progress. And I think that is the smartest decision they could have ever made. Do you disagree?
I disagree. I feel like the luck that they had, I feel like they could have went in and found the bracelet immediately. So, but
or never.
Right. It worked out for them. This is where I get madder at Mike and Nick, because I would have thought if I were out there seeing another team come, it would have like lit a fire under my squirt hole like nobody else's business. And I would have like it almost seemed like it did the exact opposite to them, where it almost made them a little more frustrated. And like I felt like at that moment I wanted to just see hay everywhere.
I you know who would have been good at this challenge? Lewis. Lewis, like a man to ice would be Lewis to this hay. Like, I think he would have just been like I think he would have been so good at this challenge, and they would have found it immediately because he would have just gone Tasmanian devil on those piles of hay. Anyway, Carson and Jack get 65 kilograms on their first try, and they're talking about being Sam and Frodo, which I now know are Lord of the Rings people, I believe. Because they know that, because they know they can make progress, and they are just the nerdiest, and I just love them. Nick and Mike look like they're going to pass out, and maybe that's why a fire wasn't lit, because they have now been there for 5 hours. I'm yelling, crawl through it, roll around, do something, crawl. It's all out on the ground. It's not like you have to go through a pile at this point. Just like slide your hands through the entire thing. I mean, if I want to say Mike, can live for 3 episodes with a piece of rice stuck in his eye, they can deal with being stuck in the hay. So if Erica had U-turned no one, this would have ended differently. If Carson and Jack did not step in the luckiest pile of shit in the world, this could have ended differently. But Carson and Jack have 150 kilograms on their second trip, and they finish it in 3 and 6th place. The race doesn't even really show anymore. Carson does the roadblock. Everything is fine. But the moment is when they get to they're convinced they're U-turned. When they get to the U-turn board and see it's not them, they just have this moment of just pure like relief and release. And then I think Nick and Mike are just sort of, they can't find the bracelet. I'm yelling, show me proof it's there. And then as if the show could hear me, they show me proof. It's like 5 feet away from where Nick is. It's not far. It's really, really... It's painstaking. I'm curious to know if they asked Phil, like, show it to me when he got there.
Yeah.
So Carson and Jack runs to the church. They're not U-turn. They're crying. I'm crying, obviously, because I always cry. Carson does the roadblock. They get to the pit stop. They're in 6th. And it is an official, as we agree, elimination. Nick and Mike are out there for 6 hours. Nick says city kids are not meant for the farm. Or Mike says. They waited 7 years to race. I was just going to say I can finally tell them apart, but I don't remember who said that. And they're overwhelmed with gratitude. Their positivity is just so nice. They were just so happy to be there. I really want Phil to show them where the bracelet is, but he doesn't. They tell each other they love them. They're crying. And I'm really genuinely going to miss them because they were just good. Like for when one would get annoyed and the other would calm them down. They just were just fun to watch. They had like a good attitude. I like when brothers play. Sometimes they can be like a little too like masculine and angry and like original Colin. That's not what we had here. They were just happy to have been a part of it. They lived a dream, and I love that. Next week, we're staying in Bulgaria. There's another express pass, which I don't know how I feel about that. But to get it, apparently, you have to walk across fire. Woo!
My toes are curling now, and sad to see the Files brothers go. Like you said, I think that they were like a joy to watch. I think that they like had a little bit of like buff and goofy that we enjoyed to watch. They didn't pay attention to detail, but what they didn't pay attention to in detail, they made up with their loving, connected sense. Like I loved how they, in the sense of adversity, they would stop and take breathers and breathe. And like, I'm going to miss Nick's inhaler. I
think it's Mike's
inhaler. But it will, it won't be the same. But listen, we are getting down.
I will raise my glass. I'm going to raise my glass to Nick and Mike Bios. Thank you very much for making this season what it was. Cheers to you. Cheers. We'll see you at the finale.
We'll see you at the finale, and we will see you next week. This has been your Purple Pants Podcast Pitstop coverage of Amazing Race, Season 37, Episode 7. Brooke and I will be back for episode next week. We'll see you later. Remember, you might be lost, but you
just look for the squirt hole. Oh, no.
Just look for the squirt hole. You might be lost, but you're not
Let the squirt hole guide you. Oh, no, sorry.
You'll be found next week, okay, when we're back for episode 8. Bye.
Bye.
It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You better listen in public, might make your stomach hurt. Ooh. It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You're trying to unwind, you better get that box wine. It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You're trying to get your snack, you better hurry right back though. It's the Purple Pants. It's the Purple Pants.